Good dude.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ryan and Brian Talk Sports, presented by Pickett Sports. As always, Ryan Props is here. We have a weird slate. I mean, some baseball going on right now. RIP to any Braves -1.5 betters. I honestly, that was so crushing if you watched that game. If you were on the Mets without the money line and just the spread. I think it was pretty good. I think it was good for you guys. It was kind of a pleasant surprise to cash that. But how are you, Ryan?
Doing good, man. I had to stay away from this one. I was unfortunately a little too busy to get any good research in on this one and the second Braves game, but I'm super excited
Dude,
about tonight's
fuck
slate.
that.
I
I
am
just spilled
super excited about this slate.
I just spilled my drink a little bit. Like I literally these are white knitted shorts and I have a Coke. Damn it. I
Beats what
just
I'm
ruined
wearing.
my
I'm not even
shorts,
wearing
dude.
pants, so more power to
You
you.
don't wear pants on the show? I always knew that because sometimes your camera would move up a little bit. It would kind of just like creep up. It was almost like something's pushing against it.
Yeah.
But you know, said Brian, you do it, Brad. Yeah, I know. Brad was different. Brad spilled his whole drink. I just spilled a little bit of my drink, and these are white knitted shorts. They're so nice. Fuck. All right. Anyway,
Who
we
knitted these shorts?
what I not me. They're just I just like I wear a lot of knit shorts. I don't know. They look nice. They make you look like you're a little bit fancier. That's not the point of the show. The point of the
It's not.
show is Bryce Harper is back. The Eagles had a good draft. The Sixers hopefully won't get swept. It's a good time to be a Philadelphian. I
For
actually
the next 10 days,
haven't
it's a pretty good time.
yeah, I haven't bet on any props because I am 100% certain Joel Embiid does not play, and I'm also 115% certain he does play. And then there's a little bit of room where I just don't even know.
Yeah, no doubt.
I will say that it feels like with Joel Embiid news is that it was the spread was 11, went to 10 and a half. It was trending towards Embiid playing, went down to 9. Now it's back to 10 and a half. It kind of feels like there's a lot of reports, some saying he's going to play, some saying he's not. I'm at the point where I don't think he plays. I went almost completely 180 thinking he was going to play to now I'm not sure. So any plays I have in that game, I'm going to just wait, I think, because I would rather know. Because I think the last thing you want to do, especially in the playoffs when anything is possible, is to take a play and then,
KG.
yeah, and then just to watch it go almost crumble. Because if you banked on him not playing and you were, say, hammer all these Maxi, Harden, or Tobias props, even if you like it with him in, you just get a better number if he's in. So I think it's best. I'm just gonna wait. I have a few spots circled. I'm just gonna see what the final decision is with him.
Good deal. I do actually have a prop on that game. I feel like it's fairly Joel proof.
Oh, but
But
we're going
obviously
to
we
MLB
will find
first.
out.
I was just trying to open up the show. On the ticker, it says MLB first.
Oh, I understand.
Okay,
I
so
was previewing that I do have
okay.
something
It
for that
seemed
game.
like you were about to. It seemed like you were. Oh, we got a sub. Oh wow, this is. There's so much happening. I was too busy. Thank you. I was too busy roasting you because it did seem like you were about to go into an NBA prop. And
Oh man.
if you are new to the show, the way the ticker works, if we go outside of how the ticker works, we immediately get scolded. It's really a problem. So we have to go MLB first.
I have somebody sitting over here behind my computer with a gun pointed at me. To go
They have
away
my
from the ticker.
family. Um, they really have I get pictures with the newspaper each day. But yeah, it's fun. I actually haven't been following the second game with a doubleheader. I feel bad. I almost want to take the over if I see it live on the show because did you watch that game? Game one,
Not much of
I know you were busy, but you want your pitchers to go as deep as possible. And the Mets had an opener that didn't even make 2 innings, and
it. Yeah.
Strider gave him 5, which it was lucky he even got to 5. He was up and down. I'm lucky he cashed for me because I had a meme made up with the like the Uno cards that draw 25, where it was like throw strikes or throw 42 pitches, which he did. He threw 36 pitches in the first inning. He was not efficient, but he got there, which I think that's the biggest thing. And I think
Yep.
when you talk about Cy Young, and we've talked about how you look like Zach Wheeler and this and that. One of the things that is good about guys like Spencer Strider, he got hammered. He had 40 pitches in the first inning, allowed 4 runs in the like after the 3 innings, but he still kind of stuck it out and gave him 5. He qualified for the win, and that's kind of stuff that's really cool to see. Where it was not a good start by him, but he gave him 5 innings. He struck out 8. He did his thing. He recovered well, so he's a really fun pitcher to watch. But
Yep.
how many MLB plays do you have?
Two. I believe we have a
2?
coinciding play.
We
Is that
have
correct?
it's very very rare, but we do have the same play. So let's knock that out first. I'll let you talk about it, and then I'll kind of just fill in the gaps.
Sounds good. So we both went with the Luis Garcia player performance double. I would imagine Brian went 6 Ks in a win. If he can confirm that
I
after.
did. What did you go with?
I did 6 Ks in a win as well. I'm just making sure
Oh,
we're on the same page here.
plus 100
Um,
on draft. Oh, you used the boost. Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
Okay.
So it was minus 110 at the time. I used my boost on FanDuel there, but it is better on DraftKings. Last I checked, at least. Now I really like Luis Garcia. I watched him a ton last season. He had a funky ass delivery. I'm pretty sure he had to get rid of his funky ass delivery because of the pitch clock. Maybe that was the reason that he kind of got knocked around in his first couple starts. But anyway, in the past 2 starts, he really started to find his way. His velocity went back up to about where it was last season, which I think was key. His velocity was way down his first couple starts. We started seeing it creep back up. He's now over the last 2 starts pitched 13 scoreless innings with 16 strikeouts in those 2 games combined. So, we like that he's hot coming into this game. Despite the slow start, he's been really good at limiting hard contact. He's in the 79th percentile of average exit velocity, 80th percentile of hard hit percentage. And the K numbers are really, really good. 72nd percentile in K rate, 84th percentile in whiff rate, 88th percentile in chase rate. So we're talking like a pretty elite K guy. And not to mention he's going against San Francisco, who leads the league in strikeouts per game at 10.7. Now Houston hasn't been a terrific home team. They're 7-9, but I think there's a lot of room for improvement there. I don't think that I don't think that'll last throughout the entire season. They had to kind of find their footing after winning the World Series. It's easy to kind of come in and stumble early. Whereas San Francisco's 4-9 in away games. And I feel like that's a more trustable trend in my eyes. It feels like they might just be a bad road team. I feel like Houston will come around and improve that home record a lot. So I think there's going to be definitely some good improvement by Houston. Hopefully this is kind of like the first step of that. Ross Stripling will be on the mound for San Fran. He's been really, really bad. 6.89 ERA, 1.6 whip, 21st percentile in exit velocity, 20th percentile in hard hit percentage, and a very good one. He is in the 4th percentile of barrel percentage. So the guys are absolutely crushing the pitches that he's throwing. So I think this Houston offense is set up pretty well to score some runs. I think Luis Garcia, I really like the form that he's rounded into over the past couple games. So I think this is a nice opportunity to get this around plus odds for 6 strikeouts and a win. And I'll pass it over to Brian.
Yeah, well, if you go to MGM, when I checked before the show, it's still plus 100, so it's sticking
Nice.
well, which is nice.
Yeah.
Which is funny because my other play did not stick around, so I had to modify it. But
Man.
yeah, I will say this is a situation where you had a lot more insight than I did. My whole write-up I had on my sheet here was just I think he gets 6 strikeouts and they win. But Garcia's been so fun to watch, and funnily enough, the Giants can't hit and can't make contact against lefties, but against righties, they're a little bit more competent, which is my only hesitation. But they've actually kind of slowed down with that. I think they were a lot better against righties to start the year. They're slowing down a little bit. On the season as a whole, it's only 257. And when you look at this lineup and you ask me whether or not you would trust them over Garcia, I'm taking Garcia every single time.
Yep.
I mean, they're striking out, 26.5% against righties. I know they have a little bit better average or on base percentage, but they're walking under 10%. And weirdly enough, I think it is a little good tidbit that they are coming from Mexico City. I think it's a different travel game. They're going from playing in a whole new location where a pop fly is a 40-foot home run, like a 100-foot home run, to now they have to kind of make that longer travel. So I do think it is a nice spot. You kind of cover most of the stuff I had, so I just want to fill that in. Where I do think it's worth mentioning that I kind of like fading a team that's coming from like the series. Was it called the New Mexico series, where they have to kind of travel a little bit out of their way? So I will take that all day.
Yeah, for sure. This feels. I mean, it feels like it's definitely probably the chalkiest spot of the slate, but I just couldn't talk myself out of it. Everything seemed to be there, and at plus 100, it seemed kind of like a no brainer. I mean, I really liked the over 6.5 as well, but it started to kind of juice more and more as the day went
Yeah.
by. I went this route. I think it's a little bit better of a route, but we shall see. So, how many more MLB plays do you have?
I just have the one.
Okay, gotcha. So let me double check on. Well, no, I'll go ahead and list it off. So I have one more play for MLB. I am kind of banking on getting the lineup that I want to get for this one, but I actually bet it already. So I'm pretty sure we're going to get a nice lineup here, regardless. I'm actually going to fade my Phillies a little bit here. I'm going to go with the Dodgers over 4.5 runs at minus 115 on DraftKings. I like this spot for the Dodgers offense. About 9.5 months ago, I believe they had some kind of absolutely massive orgy sesh that led to like 5 of them impregnating their wives at like the same
Is
time.
that relevant to the show
It
here?
is. It's extremely relevant. So,
Okay, that was a
despite
really strange. My tidbit was I like how they traveled out of the country and came back, or whatever. Like they made like like a longer travel, and yours was that.
yeah,
So
man. Well, anyway, they were missing a good cut of their team for a little while. They missed Will Smith due to a concussion for quite a while. So Muncie's back. Will Smith's back. Um, and despite all of what the Dodgers have gone through, they've been striking out a shitload. Their lineup's been all over the place. They're still ninth most. They've still averaged the ninth most runs a game at 5.03. So just naturally, they average more than this number as it is. So I like the potential that their lineup is going to be really in a good spot against Taiwan Walker, who doesn't really miss a lot of bats, which I think will come into play here.
he's been hard to watch. I'm going to interject. I was excited to get Walker, but yeah, he it was a Reds game where I really started to get really frustrated with him. He does this thing where he gets ahead of batters, but as you mentioned, his whiff rate, he does not miss bats, and it's in a league where if you don't miss bats, you better be putting your pitches in the right spots, and he hasn't been. I mean, he's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
been getting hit around.
Yeah, he doesn't miss bats. He walks guys. He's in the 40th percentile K rate. He's in the 17th percentile in walk rate. So he puts a lot of guys on base for no good reason. Brian sort of referenced he likes getting ahead in the count, and then he just fucks around with pitches. I don't even know. I mean, if you ever see him have an 0-2 or a 1-2 count, I would be very confident to bet $10 it'll end up being a 3-2 count. It's just what this dude does. He kind of is, as Doc Rivers would say, he plays with his meat, or as the Dodgers would do, they'd play with theirs 9 months ago. So Taiwan Walker, he's been pretty awful. I've never been a fan. I didn't mind the signing because he's our third, fourth, fifth starter. It kind of depends, but I didn't mind the signing. I don't think he's a bad like end of the rotation kind of guy to have, but he has not been very good. He's got a 4.97 ERA, a 1.38 WHIP. He's allowed 4 homers and 5 starts, and he really hasn't been challenged that much. He's yet to face a top 16 offense in the league. So tonight he gets the ninth best offense as far as runs per game are concerned. So nice spot for the Dodgers at home. I think they can manage 5 runs in this one.
Yeah. In the chat, people are wondering, does Taiwan Walker play with his meat more than you are right now under the table? Like that's the biggest question.
It's a tough. I don't know, man. It's hard
Look,
comparison.
where see you're doing this. Where's the other hand, Ryan?
Don't worry about it.
All right, Jesus Christ.
You
All
won't ever
right.
see my left hand during the show.
I
Don't ask why.
sadly do like that prop. I do think Taiwan Walker's been very annoying to kind of deal with. I was it Wednesday night? I was out doing trivia night, and all of a sudden, I was like doing the round of trivia, and I looked up, and our lead was 2-0, and then went to 4-2 after that grand slam he allowed, and I was just thinking, my goodness, what is this guy doing? He's really struggling just to get out of innings, which is not ideal, especially
Yeah,
against a team that can actually put up runs.
yeah.
But yeah, so my prop, which is really sad, I took it at plus money for a full unit. Then the lineup came out, and then
Oh
it
boy.
tanked from plus 107 to minus 160. So it did not make the show. So I took it again in a different route. So
Okay.
if you are following me in my channel on Discord, I've been experimenting a little bit in terms of alt Ks. So whether it's like a juiced under with the opponent's under, like basically like I'm trying to figure out if I like a side or I like a total or something like that. I like to fit the pitcher props to that. So I actually took this same game parlay where I took Mackenzie Gore to get 4 strikeouts, and I
Okay.
took Drew Smiley under 4.5 strikeouts. It's plus 100, so it's even money. And it sounds dumb. I put a half unit on it because I think as I am, you know, kind of moving into this market because it's the same thing where rather than player performance levels with how we're doing with Garcia, I also want to experiment a little bit more with, the player strikeouts with the team's runs. Because if you think about it, if I took what was it? If I took Bassett's strikeouts with the Blue Jays total runs yesterday, and if I took Spencer Strider's K's with the Braves runs today, I would be 2-0 rather than 1-1, and it'd be a lot less stress if you start, moving away from maybe the wins, because with the pitch clock, the runs have been crazy high in terms of the ERA allowed. So
Yeah.
I think I'm trying to experiment more off the money lines that were so good last year and start looking at stuff like this where it's different where you're still getting the alt Ks, but you're not relying on the team to win because the bullpens can be kind of rough. Is that a good word? It's a clean word
Best you got, man.
because
We applaud your best efforts.
because yesterday it was the Blue Jays that blew a 8-4 lead. So anyway,
5 subs. Thank you.
wow, this is wonderful. But
Walt 708. Thanks, Walt. I don't know if that's our Gold Boys Walt or another Walt, but either way, thanks a lot.
there's no way there's two Walts that exist in this world. So we're gonna go with that one. But Mackenzie Gore, I know it sounds dumb, but my thinking is I'm putting a half unit on this. I like Drew Smiley's under, but rather than paying the minus 160 on some books or the minus 130 on FanDuel, I like the same game parlay for half a unit. Because first off, have you watched Mackenzie Gore this year?
I
Fun
have.
stuff.
I'm a big fan of him and
Yeah.
Josiah Gray, but that's beside the point.
Yeah. So 666. Okay, well, six six
Easy, big
six,
guy.
7 and 10. So he's at least 6 strikeouts in every single outing this year. And this Cubs team, there's times I want to take unders against the Cubs, and then I realize that guys like Hap exist, and they have guys like Ian Happ that exist, Suzuki exists, and Wisdom exists. They had these higher K guys where his line is 6.5, and really what this does is it just makes me feel more comfortable taking an under on Smiley that has gone from plus 110 to like minus 150 consensus. I faded Smiley last time out, and the thing with Smiley this year is he's actually pitching really well. But his
man.
what double-digit strikeout game against the Dodgers was such an outlier. Like, I'm sorry, I got made fun of for taking him against the Padres for under 4.5, and it was sweaty, but it worked out. I got a lot of shit for it, but Drew Smiley, I swear, he does not want to strike you out. He is so efficient in just getting weak contact that unless you help him out, he does not miss bats as much. I mean, his knuckle curve is not really meant for whiffs. It is meant for those ground balls, and it's meant for those weak contact outs. And this Washington Nationals team, for some reason, their team is not great. But do you know what they're hitting against lefties this year? Can you
Oh man,
guess?
unfortunately, I kind of do. It's like 270 or
It's
something like that.
294.
Oh my god.
They're hitting 294 against lefties, and they're striking out at 15.4% rate. And I just think it's one of those things where I'm a little upset. I waited for the show, because the odds shifted so much. But
Yeah.
this lineup put out by the Nationals is fantastic. So I'm going off this year's strikeout rate because the sample size is getting a little bit higher. But if
Yeah.
you go by last year, so this year the sample size 1 to 5, 17% strikeout rate. If you use last year, it's 21%. And Ruiz is not striking out at all. He has a 4% strikeout rate. He's only struck out, I think, once against lefties this year. Call's been great. And they're just not striking out.
Victor
And
Robles has 3.7% versus lefties.
yeah, so my angle when I faded Drew Smiley last time out was the Padres are not hitting the ball well, but at least they're not striking out. This angle with the Nationals is they're not striking out, comma, but they're also hitting well against lefties. So you get kind of both angles there, where I do think that it's funny to see how well they're hitting against lefties. And I just don't think Drew Smiley on the road is the guy that's going to be racking up strikeouts. I just would rather keep this half a unit with this little same game parlay, and rather than paying like 1.3 units on it because I kind of missed the opening line value. that's kind of the issue sometimes when you're doing a baseball show because you're never sure how long the lines will last. But
Yeah.
I do think this is totally worthwhile, even though it looks kind of ugly when you look at it.
Yeah, I like that. It brings back pretty harsh memories of Saturday. I bet Rich Hill under strikeouts versus the Nationals, and he got his fifth one on his last pitch, of course. So it brings back pretty bad memories. But I do like the spot. Obviously, I just targeted a very similar spot just a few days ago. Unfortunately, it didn't work out on my end, but hopefully it does work out on yours. So I'm in full support of backing this Washington team, not for much, but I mean, you can pretty much count on them to not strike out. They average the least amount of strikeouts per game in the entire league, which is kind of incredible. And a lot of these guys don't strike out a lot at all. As far as this season's data is concerned, 1 through 8 in their lineup, not a single one of them has a K rate of 19% or higher.
Yeah,
That's I
it's
have not
crazy.
seen a lineup like that all season long.
Yeah.
That's
And I think
fucking
it's funny because today I took a team that's really K adverse and I took the alt over for Strider. But let me tell you this. Drew Smiley is not Spencer Strider in terms of whiff rate and getting guys to miss on pitches. Like I said, he's a knuckle pitcher, knuckle curve pitcher, I should say. And if you ever watch knuckle curve pitchers, they really are putting that lower half of the zone not to get you to swing through your shoes. They just want you to kind of top it over and get those ground balls. Drew Smiley has never really been the big strikeout guy, and I think he had those two outlier starts that kind of help you find better numbers for him this time around.
Yeah, good deal. I'm pretty much all set on baseball. I am super intrigued by Luke Weaver. I
Yeah,
can't make my
what's
final decision for whatever reason. I did have two live ads last show that went. I hit a plus 1,000 on Brooke Lopez, and
yeah,
hit
that was crazy.
that was fucking awesome, and hit Jordan Montgomery over outs, which was kind of
So
a
did I.
miracle.
And
Yeah,
if you
yeah. Brian
remember,
hopped on it
I
as
went to
well.
bed. I went to
It
bed
was so
'cause I
bad.
was. If you remember though, I went to bed because I missed on Drew Holiday by 1 point because he shot like 0 for 5 dead in the game. So I was just in a bad mood, and I just went to bed when he had that terrible first inning, and Joe Montgomery came through. So yeah, I do think if there's any late ads, Weavers is a very strange one. I honestly think if there's one upset out of these heavy favorites that we saw with the Braves earlier, the Blue Jays are minus 160, which I don't know if Jose Barrios ever gets minus 160 unless he gets a Kluber matchup, but there's some bigger favorites on this slate, and I think the Padres are one that I would almost I would call that my upset watch because Blake Snell has not been good, and the Padres bats aren't. I think the Padres bats are getting graded for being the Padres, but they have not looked like the Padres.
Not really, dude. They're not really scaring anybody unless they're playing in Mexico City. But their first two guys,
I mean,
Tatis
maybe they get a
Machado.
walk off you. I mean, that's cool.
Yeah, there you go. They have six guys in this lineup with 25% or higher K rates versus Luke Weaver, who there's not a lot of sample size this season. And he's been bad. He could get knocked around. So that's, I guess, my biggest hesitancy. It sucks back in a pitcher that has just been crushed. But I mean, I believe he has 8 strikeouts in both games, and we're getting a 4 or 5 line. Granted, I think I would take the risk and jump up to 6+ and grab it at plus 130 or something like that. I'm
Yeah.
going to think about that. I really like this damn line. Actually, maybe while Brian's giving an NBA prop, I might kind of do a little dive in and give you my final decision. But that one's definitely on my short list. Other than that, I didn't love a ton of baseball props today. So I'm pretty much closing out for baseball if you're ready.
I mean, I'm done baseball, and as far as NBA, I'm going to talk more about the games overall. I haven't locked anything in for NBA yet, but I just I guess the biggest thing is do we think Joel Embiid plays? That's the biggest thing on the NBA slate.
I don't really know. I think that the biggest thing right now is um the spread. The spread is kind of ticking back up. There seemed to be that promise at one point in the day, like, okay, maybe he will sneak into this lineup because he participated in a shoot around, and the spread reflected it for a second. And when it bounced back up to 10.5, it kind of started to figure the writing was on the wall there. Not to mention, how do you play through this kind of thing? I don't know if this is even obviously I want him to play, but this could be a devastating decision to do so. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Just kind of
It's one of those
tough
things where
spot.
there's no easy thing in sports where if he plays and they win, you're a fucking genius. If he plays, he gets hurt. You're the most idiotic person in the entire world. So it's really a lose-lose situation. So I'm kind of waiting. So like I said, if you listened earlier in the show, I really thought Embiid was going to play. His record in the playoffs when he's listed as doubtful, he usually kind of musters it up to go and play. But if the reports are true and this knee is as bad as they're saying, I just don't know if he's going to play. I mean, maybe he can quote unquote be active and be a decoy, make you plan for him. But I kind of I'm at the point where I don't think he plays.
I don't think so either.
And I really, really wanted him to. I've been a Sixers fan my entire life, and Joel Embiid's one of those guys where it's. I mean, if you're from Philly or you're a Phillies fan, you root for him, and it's usually stuff like in the playoffs, he got punched in the face that one year, broke his orbital bone. He like slips on a banana peel. It's always like the weirdest injuries, and at least this time it's a real one. It's like an actual basketball play occurred where he got a little bit hurt, but yeah, I do think I just don't see him playing. The spread's back up to 10.5. Not saying that's the end all be all, but there's a lot difference between him being in shoot arounds and him playing actual basketball.
Yeah. We had somebody asking on the YouTube comments. Sorry, I'm a little late getting around to see it. Who do you have winning the Cubs and Nats? Did you ever really touch on who you would anticipate money line wise?
Fun fact, I would probably lean Nationals only because I'd rather pay plus 115 than minus 140 because I know Smiley's been great this year. But like I said, last week when I faded Smiley, my thing was I always like to make a guy like this prove it. You know, if you have a track history of not being a great pitcher and you start the year off hot, I'm okay fading you and making you prove that you're different. And last week he didn't prove it in the strikeouts. This game, I don't know. He's got to prove it because this team's hitting lefties well, and he's not missing bats.
Yeah.
At least unless you're the Dodgers who just whiffed at everything that game. But
the same.
I just don't. I don't know. I think I would rather. I mean, what's the plus one? It's minus 140 for plus 1.5. I looked at the Pickett Sports app. That's the best price. Is minus 140. So yeah, I'd probably just play the plus 115.
Yeah,
if I had to make a play.
I wouldn't mind backing Gore at plus odds at all. That sounds pretty fucking awesome. I think we're set. Yeah. Also, I do remember a few people added in that Smiley's worse on the road. So that's always a nice added addition to your K prop and B our thought process, thinking that the Nats money line would be more of a move than the Cubs.
So Ryan props.
Yeah, man.
What is your NBA play? You have one or you have two?
Two.
Okay.
One for each game, both fairly chalky, I guess. But I think as we get into the later rounds of the playoffs, I don't really mind trusting the superstars to just kind of be a superstar, rather than trying to kind of figure out which role player is going to step up. Which the Knicks were kind of an interesting scenario yesterday, because they had like Obi Toppin and Emmanuel Quickley. It was kind of hard to determine which role player was going to kind of step up without Randall. But at least with the Celtics, we don't really have that case. With the Suns, we don't really have that case. So I'm kind of just trusting stars to be stars, and with my two props, what's
your Sixers prop?
I could dig into that now. I'm going to go Jaylen Brown over 33.5 points plus rebounds plus assist. It was minus 120 on MGM not too long ago. I wouldn't mind taking this up to 34.5. He had a really good round one. In games 2 and 3, he was a little lower volume. Derek White was really going crazy at the time. But he had a really good round one. He hit this line in 4 out of 6. He played 37.7 minutes a game. He averaged 35.0 PRA in that series. And I thought there was like a little bit of room for improvement. Somebody just asked, Ryan, can you give us a sneak peek of those vanilla cheeks?
Well, what's the answer?
I haven't finished enough of my drink to pull that off this week. Maybe next week. I got you. Oh man! All right, we got a show.
I think it's just fun.
Focus, Brian. Focus.
No, this is good for the chat because usually I'm the one that gets those weird ass comments. So for once, I can embellish and you having to do it. So this is a good time. This is like a win for me, honestly. I don't even care what happens the rest of the day. I'm set.
Oh man. Anyway, yeah, 38 minutes a game. We averaged just shy of 27 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 35.0 PRA, and hitting 4 out of 6 last series. And I thought there was a little bit of room for improvement. He didn't really get to the line very much in the first series, and then when he did, he shot like 58% from the stripe, which he's normally like 77%. So I thought there was some room for improvement there. I like his rebounds a little bit more in this series than I do in the prior series as well. I like it more without Joel Embiid, which I guess is really the only
Are you doubting Paul Reed's defensive prowess? Is that what you're saying?
perhaps. Yeah, I must be, I guess. I actually don't mind Paul Reed's rebound look. I don't know. I haven't been able to check in a little while. I'm not sure what it was set at. It wasn't there earlier.
I just feel like this is one of those games where Joel Embiid being in, like, if you take a Boston prop, that's one thing, but I think it's so tough to take anything on the Sixers side because I would not be shocked whether he's in or out. That's my thing. I just think it's so tough to take anything on the Sixers side until you know, and sadly, we just don't know yet.
Yeah, I who was it? Maybe it was Giannis being doubtful at some point. I don't know. There was one game where I took a prop because the guy was doubtful, and then naturally came back and played. So I'm done falling for that shit. But anyway, I didn't think Joel's presence would affect this prop too much. I do kind of like his rebounding just a little bit more if Joel is off, but not that much more. But I do like his rebounds a little bit more in this series. I think Philly without Joel, I'm just going to go and kind of assume that he's not going to play. Without him, we'll have to chuck a lot of threes. So, maybe a little bit more rebounding for guards and small forwards and things like that. And I think it's important to note that Tatum has struggled versus Philly this season. I'm sure Tatum will go off a couple good times in the series. Don't get me wrong, but obviously he's going to take on the brunt of the Philly defense. I guess Tucker will get a lot of the Tatum job, and that'll leave Brown with a mixture of Harris. If
So
Godspeed for the Sixers if he catches Maxey on any possessions, Harden. So I just like Brown's matchup a lot in this series. So I think he could take advantage. I thought this was a fairly low number. He hit this in like 70% of regular season games. So in a game where I think he'll play 38 or more minutes if it's close, I think this is a really nice spot for Jalen.
I think I'm with you there. Where also my only thing with Paul Reed, where if you watch the Celtics Hawks series, the Hawks looked a lot better when Clint the Potato Capella was off the court a little bit. Sometimes it wasn't true. Game 5, it was not true. Clint actually had a solid game, but it's one of those things where I wouldn't be surprised if the Sixers tried to run as small as possible, uh, without Joel, because when you have Robert Williams or Al Horford against Paul Reed, Montrezl Harrell, insert fan from the second row that might need to see minutes, it's really tough to match size with size when you just don't have the bigs to do so. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Sixers without Joe try to run some looks with like PJ at the 5, like they did against the Nets. I don't know if it's gonna work, but when you're missing your best player that happens to be 7'2", whatever it is, like it's really hard to fill in for that. So you have to kind of get off the book, and I wouldn't be surprised if they go small, which is why I'm kind of looking at on FanDuel Tyrese Maxey. His points line is 23.5. If Joel's not in, I really hope that doesn't move because that's probably would be my look. I know a lot of people are on Harden, but Harden probably draws a lot of the smart look. And if Maxey gets smart, I think Tyrese Maxey is a horrible matchup for Marcus Smart. No offense. Marcus Smart's, defensive player of the year last year, great defender, but Tyrese Maxey's so quick off the dribble that I think he benefits the most out of this matchup than Harden. I could be wrong, obviously, but I'm speaking strictly in a sense without Joel.
Yeah.
Where without Joel Embiid, the thing with Maxey is he can play 48 minutes if you ask him to. He's just so quick.
We might ask him to as well.
And he might have to. So if they run small, I just think Maxey might have so many good looks where James Harden's one of those guys where I'll say it, I think Tyrese Maxey, I would trust him to be the guy without Joel over Harden at this point. I really do
be our number one option.
Yeah,
I agree.
I think it's more likely you see Maxey go off than Harden, which is not to say Harden couldn't go off because Harden still has that whatever the ice in his veins, but Tyrese Maxey just been that guy. And the last 10 games without Embiid, he's averaging 26.1 points. And he's gone under 7 of his last 10, and one of them being by the hook, if you want to call it that, by 23. And the other one was against the Nets, where if you remember, Tobias Harris had a good game in Game 4. I don't think Tobias Harris matches up well against this Boston team like he did against the Nets. So I think that if Joel's out, that's going to be my one NBA play. Is I really want stock in Tyrese Maxey. And as you mentioned, is a little bit chalky because he's Tyrese Maxey and he's Tyrese Maxey. Sure, but there's 2 games, and at this point in the season, if there's only 1 or 2 games a night, you're gonna have quote unquote chalky plays or plays that are other people are gonna be looking at because it's not an 8 game slate.
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and on that note, that's a good segue to my next super chalky prop. I'm going to go Devin Booker over 29.5 points. I believe it's minus 120 on FanDuel right now. I fucking love this play. I thought about making it 1.5 units, but I'm not going to quite go there. I'm going to just stick with the 1 unit here. It's 30.5, I think, at plus 100 on some sites, but if you can get minus 120 on 29.5, I would certainly suggest that. This is one of the weirdest things I've come across while looking at a million stats over the past couple of years. Is like it's almost suspiciously similar how he performed in Game 1 of both rounds. So the Suns lost Game 1 in both rounds so far. Booker was 10 of 19 shooting in both rounds so far. He made 0 threes in the first game of both rounds so far. He took 8 free throws in both games of Game 1 so far. He had 26 in one game, he had 27 in the other, so he made 1 extra free throw in one game. So super weird consistency, weird shit. But in round 1, if we want to kind of stick with that trend, I wouldn't mind that, because then he exploded for 4 straight games where they won all 4 of them. He had 38 points, 45 points, 30 points, 47 points. So he would have hit this prop in the last 4. And I think one of the bigger keys here is he hit 3 or more threes in all of the last 4 games after after hitting 0 in Game 1, which I think kind of represents something that I'm hoping that we'll see today. Denver shredded Phoenix from behind the arc. They just outscored them like madmen from behind the arc. And Booker and Durant just didn't look interested at all from behind the arc. And I don't think that's their best recipe. I think they both need to be a little bit more aggressive. And I trust Booker to actually step up and be a lot more aggressive from behind the arc. KD just seems really content not shooting that many threes, whereas Booker, he might have a down game here and there, but he will step back up and proceed to shoot 7, 8 threes, which is kind of what I'm thinking happens here. I think they will need it. They're not going to try to beat this team while the Nuggets are making threes and they're making twos. That's might not be a great recipe for success for them. So I think it's really interesting that Monty Williams is really just not trusting their bench at all. There's basically no TJ Warren. There's very little campaign. So unfortunately for Booker's legs, this man's got to average 43 minutes. He played 40 last game, but he got ripped out a little bit early because of the blowout. So maybe saved himself a couple minutes. So he only played 40 minutes, so he'll be fresh, right?
There's 4 starters. Actually, I would say all 5 starters. You will not see this team, the 5 starters, not play 30 to 45 minutes a game. Bearing foul trouble, ejection, death, whatever it is, like they are going to be playing a lot of minutes.
Yeah, for sure. So he had 40 minutes and 19 shots in the first game. He averaged 43 minutes and 24 shots last series. So I think we're going to be a little bit closer to those minutes, that kind of volume in this one, especially not that losing Game 1, especially away, is like a huge deal, but a little bit of added pressure. You certainly don't want to go down 0-2. You would love to steal one in Denver, and Booker's just been so tremendous. We're only 6 games into the postseason, but he's just been so fucking good. And I think this is a nice spot for him to step up. They got a little bit more weight on their shoulders and coming into this one. So I think he has to be a little bit more aggressive, especially from behind the arc. And I think that'll come into play. Somebody asked, what does chalky mean? More so like the obvious play of the night, I guess, is how I would define it. Brian, how would you define chalky?
I would say chalky is kind of, I guess, the obvious play, but it's also, if you're scrolling through your feed and you just see every single person on it, it kind of feels like chalk. Damn, well, I guess the obvious play, yeah, like if you're taking Kevin Durant's points or you're taking Devin Booker's points, it kind of just falls into that. Everyone feels it's on it. It doesn't feel like a great. I don't want to say it feels. It feels like too good to be true. Is that good? Too good to be true.
It's not bad. It's not bad, but hopefully it is. It is not.
Yeah. No, I mean I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like I guess the side of the bet that's a favorite. Like if everyone
Pretty
takes
good.
if everyone takes the Celtics tonight or like the Celtics spread or whatever it is, like if you take the strong side of a bet where if 99% of the bets on someone's over, that's the definition of chalk. You see those MGM tweets where it's like 98% of players took the over on this guy's line. That's just the definition of chalk is
Yeah.
the obvious favorite.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Which I like I said, I won't really be shy to do that from this point out. I mean, so many players are just so set in the roles. Rotations have really tightened up. So finding that role player that's gonna, hit that plus 800 prop is there's gonna be a lot less of them than obviously in the regular season when there's a ton of games, but just for each team that there a lot of them are running their starters 35, 40 minutes. So I think chalky plays are kind of just going to be the way from this point out. And
Yeah.
I won't run too many ladders, especially if I'm on a chalky play. Like I don't hate a ladder for Booker up to 40, but he's probably I haven't checked, but I'm sure he's plus 600 for 40 points. Like I'm good on that. I'd rather just if anything, if I'm feeling a ladder for a guy that starts at like 26 and a half or 27 and a half, or in this case, 29 and a half, I'd rather just go 1.5 units on that straight than ladder it. But this is just personal preferences and kind of how I'm gonna eye the rest of this postseason. But that'll be my four props for today. I did
I,
I did post me and we hit those did a collab parlay
I
that I
did see
posted on
that.
Twitter. I'm not gonna really discuss that on the show. I did see one or two people mention in the comments. I didn't really bring materials to discuss that on the show. I actually didn't think about it at the time, but go ahead and check out my Twitter if
What a
go ahead and
selfish
see what that
plug. Oh,
is.
I'm not gonna talk about it. So go check my Twitter out. Like, give me a follow.
Shameless
Yeah,
plug.
this
Shameless plug.
this guy Brooks is like he's in the chat right now. He is I would say very crazy about me to talk about DeAndre Ayton. I did not
Sure.
watch the first game. I had to rewatch it, and I really wanted to almost run back double double, but I don't think I can. Jokic did a really good job of pulling him out.
My goodness.
DeAndre Ayton. So here's my thing: the double double was perfect last matchup. It looked great on paper. This matchup, will he get one? I think he can. I think if he's aggressive, he can. But he only had 9 rebound chances last game. So it's one of those things where he had 7 rebounds on only 9 chances, which is a crazy turnaround rate. But to only have 9 chances scares me away from anything in terms of rebounding. If he gets one, great. I won't feel too bad that I didn't take it, but it is hard to take a double double prop with a guy that didn't even have 10 chances for rebounds. So if something changes, I'll look into that. But yeah, I if anything with DeAndre Ayton, I would look at his points, 15 and a half. I think even if Devin Booker's going off, Jokic, as great as he is, that PNR really gets to him. I think if you look at it in terms of it was kind of a blowout, as you mentioned last game, but Aiden did score pretty well, despite the rebounding not be there. So that I would look at that. He had 14 points, took 11 shots. I think he'll still get looks, so I would look for something like that. I don't know if I can back his rebounds, just because Kevin Durant was the big rebounder because of how Jokic kind of pulled him away from the rim a little bit. So
Yeah.
that was too scary for me to even touch.
Yeah. Fair enough. Real quick, I will, you don't have to run to my Twitter to see the play. I'll tell you what the play is. I just didn't really write notes as to why we picked each and everything. The parlay is Derek White, 15 points, Tyrese Maxey, 4+ assists. That is fairly dependent on Joel's absence. That the angle there was no Joel. And then Chris Paul over 8.5 assists. So at the time it's plus like 991. I think those odds have tanked, perhaps kind of badly. I haven't rechecked, but I wouldn't really take this if it's less than plus 900 if you haven't already. But yeah, I didn't want to leave you guys in the dark of what I was referring to. Pick
Oh
it
yeah, someone
popular
said
place.
yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
Brooks should say he did a single parlay of 8 and 14 points, and Porter 20 plus PA, which I like. So I will say that I will look to maybe take Aiton's points or to take like some kind of alt same game parlay. But yeah, I just can't trust his rebounds after watching some of the film of last game.
Yeah.
So Pickett popular plays, and then we
Ew.
can get the hell out of here. I actually like the show being at 5 now because it gives us a little bit of a break from now until the actual slate starting where I can get my plays out and I can kind of feel good about myself. But the 3 top players, number 1, Jason Tatum, which is surprising only because if you aren't aware, I guess maybe just a Philly thing that if you're a Phillies fan, I'm surprised no one's on Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart turns into an absolute monster against the Sixers. I don't know what it is.
Funny.
It
I've
makes
thought
me
about it.
mad that Al Horford and Marcus Smart are kind of good players, and then they turn into prime Michael Jordan when they play against the Sixers. So it's really crazy. But yeah, a lot of love for Jason Tatum. Actually, he has 4,000 more picks than the next guy.
Is there a boost?
Is there a Tatum boost? Does anyone know if there's a boost on Jason Tatum? I
Must
haven't
be.
seen one, but that is a lot of picks on the Pickett app for Jason Tatum.
Yeah,
So
like
maybe
an absurd amount. So I don't know.
no, the only boost I see on FanDuel at least is Harden and Maxi's threes.
Really? What is the boost?
They have Harden and Maxi to combine for 6 threes at plus 150. I don't hate that, but my only thing is
That's not bad.
Maxi. I only hate that. I don't hate that, but I only would hesitate because Tyrese Maxey is so good at driving to the rim that even if he's not hitting his threes, he can still score. But yeah, I
Yeah.
haven't seen any Tatum boost, but there's a lot of Tatum love for
There-
points.
There's nothing. I figured it'd be a DraftKings boost, but there isn't a DraftKings boost that I'm seeing.
No,
I don't know. A lot of, yeah, like you said, a lot of love for Tatum.
yeah,
He did struggle a little bit for, I'm sorry, versus Philly this regular season. I don't read significant amount into that. It's not like he can't go off. I actually really liked his rebounds and I liked his assist, which of course leads me to like his RA. But I didn't pull the trigger on that one. But I mean, it's Tatum in the postseason. We know he's going to get massive minutes. I think he's got a pretty tough assignment, but with the volume that guy has,
yeah.
he can always be a dangerous fella.
He's also getting a lot. Not saying that it matters much. He is getting a lot of heat in the media in terms of being the guy to carry a team and this and that. So maybe he responds well to that. But yeah, I'm not too sure about Tatum. Um, the next guy though is the other star that Ryan did not trust because
Yeah,
I guess he's not a Kevin Durant fan. But Kevin Durant, a lot of picks for Kevin Durant.
yeah,
3,000 picks on the Pickett app for his points, almost 2,000 for his rebounds, and then a lot for PR. So no one's thinking this guy's passing. They all think he's going to be boarding and scoring a lot. A lot of love for his threes. I did see over 1.5 threes be a pretty big play in the gambling Twitter community, which makes sense. I mean, you need 2 threes for a guy that he's going to take a lot of shots.
yeah. Yeah, for sure. Don't mind that. I did juggle Durant and Booker a lot today. And while you'll likely get better efficiency out of Durant, Booker's been so unbelievably efficient, and I think we can count on him for more volume. I mean I liked both. I really did, and I could see a world where they both go over 30. I was kind of hoping if Durant had opened at 27.5, I wouldn't have hesitated to grab him. That extra 2 points for some reason kind of shook me away. I
Yeah.
think Booker's volume is a lot more manageable to score 30 than Durant's, but at the same time, Durant is Durant. And that guy can pretty much score 30 with 14 shots if he wanted to. So
Yeah, I think it's so funny. I think the hardest part of this series is at least what I'm having, because once I ruled out that DeAndre Ayton double double is no longer the easy cash it was last series, is it's tough because Booker has a great matchup. Kevin Durant has a great matchup. DeAndre Ayton has a great matchup. Chris Paul, pretty good matchup.
yeah.
The Denver Nuggets don't thrive on their defensive prowess, so it's a little tough where anybody that you see an angle with on the Phoenix team, I'm not gonna hate you for it because I do think there's a case for all of them. So I do think that is one thing where if you like Durant, you can't really talk me off it. If you
Yeah.
like Booker, can't really talk me off from it. And if I play Aiton's points, I'll live with it. But yep, and Joel Embiid's not playing.
Embiid is out. Yep.
So I'm taking Maxi as long as the odds don't change too much. I would play the 23.5 for Maxi up until like I would say minus 125. I just don't want to have to pay for 25 plus points. But I do think there's only one reason he was set at 23.5, and that's because I figured Embiid wasn't going to play. That's my big thing is I will wait for the news because if Joel was in or they expect him to be in, he'd be at like 18.5. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to move too much. Last play goes against what I'm going to play. James Harden, the third most bet player on Pickett Sports. A lot of love for his points, his assist, and his made threes. So I do think his assists take a big hit without Joel because he gets about 4.8 assists per game to Joel. And if you haven't watched many Sixers games, it's tough pill to swallow. But Paul Reed is not the same post up player as Joel Embiid.
Really?
He's slightly worse. Slightly worse. I was actually at the I don't know if you remember the game winning shot Joel hit against the the Trailblazers, the big shot for the game winner. There was a play where he gave an inside pass to Paul Reed, who blew the layup, got his own offensive rebound, missed it off back iron, chased it down, got it again, and then the ball got stolen from him. And James Harden looked like he was about to punch him in the face. So I like Paul Reed, but he's not the most graceful player. So
Not
that's
quite.
my only worry for trying to back Harden's assist. I know his usage goes up without Embiid, but someone has to make shots. And guys like, Harris, guys like Maxi aren't necessarily guys that need to be assisted. Like Joe Embiid's a 7-foot center. He thrives off that pick and roll and he thrives off those inside feeds. But without that, I don't know if I really trust his assist. I would look more to threes if anything else, because he should chuck a lot of threes.
Yes, he should. Indeed, he should. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you just said. I think something would be really interesting, but probably not that interesting because I think I already know the answer. You don't think Montrezl Harrell will touch the floor, right? We can't do that, can we? Because if he did, I like Harden's assist. But I also like the Celtics to win by 71 points.
I am going out to meet my family and my dad to watch this game, and I told them I'd probably Uber home if I see Montrezl Harrell on the floor. I just is it 2023 and we're giving Montrezl Harrell meaningful minutes in the playoffs? I don't know, man.
Maybe.
I think Trez. I'll say this. I'll text you throughout the night. I'll text you. I'll fucking spam you. If he plays more than 10 minutes, I'll be really upset. Maybe 6.
Yeah.
Give him those rotations. He played those bookends. So the first quarter in game 4, I think he played the last minute and a half. That's fine. Give him those, weird whatever minutes. But yeah, I just don't see us beating Robert Williams or beating Al Horford with Montrezl Harrell. I think we're better off going small and accepting that they're going to get some second chance points. That's fine. They get some putbacks, it happens, but you can't beat a good center with, not even Walmart. It's like Kmart. Like you just can't go great value and expect to win. So I would expect we go small.
Yeah, somebody asked, do we like Brown to score more points than Harden? I technically do fairly easily, I guess you would say. I mean, fairly clearly. I think he fairly high confidence that he would score more than Harden. I mean, obviously you never know, but I would take Brown, yes.
I will play Tyrese Maxey over if the line doesn't change. But that's all I have. So to recap my plays, and you can recap your plays with the hell out of here at 6:00.
Sounds good.
I played a same game parlay of Drew Smiley under 4.5 strikeouts paired with Mackenzie Gore 4+ to get at even odds for half a unit. I'm already up a unit on the day. That's more just I really like the play. I think it's it kind of goes with how I think the game's gonna go. I like the Nationals in that game. I also played with Ryan. We took Garcia and Houston money line, a 6 strikeouts and a win, a player before it's double over the Giants, and then as long as Maxi's line isn't too tanked, which I don't think it will, I will take Tyrese Maxey in this game, and then you can go with your recap.
Good deal. Brian already touched on Luis Garcia, 6 strikeouts plus a win. I also am on Devin Booker over 29.5 points. I took Jaylen Brown over 33.5 points plus rebounds plus assists. And I took the Dodgers to score over 4.5 runs tonight versus the Phillies, which will keep us up till 1 a.m. if that's your thing, at least Eastern time.
Unless I just hammer us early and then you can go to bed. I mean, that's always fair.
Not bad. Yeah, that sounds good to me. But yeah, that'll I think that should close us out. As always, go Sixers. Me and Brian have potential to have a really sad night tonight. So fingers crossed that doesn't end up being the case. We shall find out here soon. But we definitely appreciate everybody tuning in. This is definitely one of my favorite parts of every week. So it's fun to hop on, talk some sports with you, Brian, and then of course the chats are always giving us some really good questions, feedback, and things to discuss. So we appreciate you guys tuning in. We thank Pickett Sports and nobody else. Sorry, we thank Pickett Sports for sponsoring this show. And we'll see you guys next Monday.
Sounds good.